Today's recipe calls for the sous vide stick once again. I'm going to show you how to make sous vide caprese chicken. It's super simple. The flavors are bright and fresh and just delicious. So with that said, let's get started.
The first thing we need to do so we can start this set it and forget it recipe is get our sous vide stick up and running. Grab yourself a vessel that will hold enough water, which will allow the sous vide to be submerged for it to work properly. You'll notice the cooking stick has a minimum and maximum line on it. We want the water level to be somewhere in the middle. If you do not have a large plastic holding container, you can also use a large stock pot as well. Fill the water holder up with clear liquid. To help hit our set temp faster, use warm tap water. It'll speed up the process by a few seconds. The reason why we're filling the container halfway is because once we add the bag of goods to the water, the liquid level is going to rise. At this level, it should be enough clearance without things overflowing. Now that the holding device is filled, toss some type of lid on top of your container. This will help keep in the heat, speeding up the preheating process. Now that the top is on, we can set the temp on this mechanism. Set it to 149 Fahrenheit or 65 degrees Celsius. This preheating process takes a while, so this is the perfect time to prep our chicken. To bring some flavor to our chicken, grab yourself a medium-sized yellow onion. Cut the top off, which is the opposite end of the hairy side. When that's happened, cut the veg into 2 equal pieces. We'll only be using half of this thing, so save the other half for another recipe. Once you've chosen the better half of the two, peel all the paper skin off. Now that things are naked, cut the root end off of the onion. Cut the vegetable from side to side, making half-inch sections of onion. Grab 4 medium to large size garlic cloves. Cut both ends off each piece. Give all the goods a light smash with the broad side of your chef's knife. This will make it easier to peel off all the paper coat. When they've all been peeled, give them another whack to crush the garlic just a little more. Doing this will help release the natural oils and flavors they hold. The last fresh ingredient we need to prep out is some basil. Pick about 10 to 15 basil leaves off the stem. We're looking to have 0.3 ounces or 7 grams worth of this leafy green stuff. Now it's time to prep the main component of this recipe, which is our chicken. I'm only using 2 chicken breasts for the video, but use as much as you need. If using more, you'll need to simply double the ingredients. Give them a quick once over and cut off any fat or any other undesirable sections that may be present. You may notice the chicken is a bit uneven in thickness. One side may be a bit thicker than the other. For the best results, we want to flatten things out. This will give us an even cook, resulting in a better end product. Grab some type of protective layer that will fully and completely cover the chicken. Now that things are fully covered up, grab your favorite smashing device to flatten these bad boys out. Using a medium force, whack the chick on the thicker end until it's even all the way across. Give it the visual or feel test to ensure it's where we need it to be. When it's been flattened, toss the chicken into a bowl. After you've taken care of the chicken, give your work area a thorough clean to ensure we're not spreading any bacteria. To the bowl of protein, add 1 tablespoon of a good neutral tasting oil. Following the liquid fat, pour in 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. Give the chick a mix up to fully coat the chicken in the 2 ingredients we just added to the bowl. Dump in 1 tablespoon of Italian dry spice mix. This next ingredient is optional, which is 1 teaspoon red pepper flakes. I always need that spicy food in my life. Enough about me, back to the task at hand. Drop the sliced onion in, mix your face off to spread the spices throughout the bowl of chicken. Do not forget to season everything with a few good pinches of coarse ground kosher salt. Now that things are mixed up really well, it's time to bag the goods up. You can use a freezer zip top style bag for this. I'm going to be using the large reusable vacuum sealed bag. Whatever tool you decide to use for the job, ensure you can fully seal it shut. To make things easier on yourself, fully open the bag all the way and fight to make it to stand up. This will make the task of transferring things over much easier. Before we add the contents of our bowl to the bags, we'll first add the basil. Tear the green leaves into 2 or 3 pieces. This will help release the flavors that they hold. Now that you feel strong and tough because you tore things up, add the onion chicken mix to the holding device. Ensure you get all the goods out of the bowl and into the bag. Add the rest of the leafy greens, and don't forget to toss the crushed garlic in as well. Now that everything has been added in, give the bag of goods a mix-up to ensure everything is spread throughout for the best results. It's also important to make sure the chicken isn't touching or overlapping one another. This way we get the best cook on the protein. When that's happened, vacuum seal shut the bag. Do not suck up any of the liquid into your handheld vacuum sealer. It's not meant for that. it'll break it. Trust me, a friend of a friend's cousin learned that the hard way. If you do not have a vacuum sealer, you can simply use the water displacement method. If you're not sure what that is, go check out my sous vide chicken video. I explain how to use that method in the video. In the end, your bag of goods should look something like this. Once the water has come up to temp and our bag of food is ready to go, pop the top off of the vessel. Drop the goods into the water bath. Things will float, so we need to weigh them down with some kind of device. Use something that can handle the heat for a long period of time. It's best to use some type of grabbing device to place the weight onto the bag because the water is hot, trust me. Now that all the things have been taken care of, place the lid back atop the container. Before we set the cooking timer, we need to allow the water to come back up to temp, which again is 149 Fahrenheit or 65 degrees Celsius. When it's back to a full raging temp, set a timer to cook the chicken for 1 hour and 30 minutes. This time and temp will give us the greatest chicken you've ever eaten. It'll fully cook the chick, making it super juicy and tender in texture. Now we sit and wait for things to happen. When the timer is close to going off, get prepared by grabbing yourself a half sheet tray and some tongs. Okay, now that the buzzer has rang, pull the weight out so we can get to our chicken. Pull the goods out of the water bath, then pull the chicken out of the bag and place it onto the half tray. We'll allow it to rest for about 5 minutes or until we finish making the rest of the recipe. Alright, let's start making the caprese part of the dish. Snag 8 cherry tomatoes, which is 4.4 ounces or 123 grams worth of these little guys. Using a serrated knife, cut the toms right down the middle, making 2 halves. Cut those halves into halves, then cut those into 2 to 3 sections. Long story short, cut your tomatoes into a small dice. Once cut, transfer them over to a small holding device. Season the toms with a few small pinches of coarse ground kosher salt. This will help pull out more of the water that they hold. This way our final dish isn't too messy. But most of all, it'll bring out more of the natural flavors they hold, making them that much better. Set those aside so we can cut up the cheesy goodness, which is 3.1 ounces or 88 grams of some mozzarella pearls. We need to also cut these into a small dice as well. I find it's easiest to make the little cheese balls into 3 sections, then cut the sections in half to be able to cube them into the small dice. When those have been diced up and you've restrained from eating them, toss them into the bowl with the toms. This next ingredient is optional and not traditional, but why should we waste it? Grab your desired amount of the cooked onion, cut the onion into a small dice and toss them into the bowl with the other goods. It'll bring a good amount of flavor to our dish. Next, we need to add some basil. You can cut this stuff, or you can be lazy like me and simply tear it and toss it in. We'll add 6 to 7 medium to large sized leaves. The last thing we need to add in is the zest of a whole medium sized lemon. This is not traditional either, but it'll bring some brightness and another flavor profile to our dish. When zesting, avoid getting any of the white part. It's known as the pith and it's bitter in taste. Give the bowl a good mix up to make sure everything is in one tasty mess. Snag a quick taste test and adjust the seasoning as needed with a few good pinches of coarse ground kosher salt. Now it's time to plate this business up. Grab your favorite eating saucer, decorate the plate with a small amount of balsamic reduction, also known as a glaze. Make your own or just use a good store-bought version. When you're happy with your plate of arts and crafts, toss the chicken on top of the feeding saucer. Using a slotted spoon, drain off as much liquid as possible, then top the chick with our caprese mixture. Use as much or as little as your heart desires of this stuff. To finish the dish off, add another small drizzle of reduction on top for that sweet aesthetic look. Pair the plate with a salad of some sorts or some good bread, so when you're done, you can dip your bread into the reduction and juices left on the plate. Whatever you decide to do, just enjoy.
Alright, now that our caprese chicken is done, let's give it the old taste-a-roo. So looking at it, it came out super aesthetically pleasing. The chicken got some good color because it soaked up that balsamic vinegar, and it looks like it's going to be really juicy and tender. The little salad on top has a ton of color going on for it. The white, the red, and that pop of green as well. It just looks super delicious, and all together it looks really tasty. Then you see some red pepper flakes as well. And that balsamic reduction makes it look extra bougie. So let's give it a shot. First, we'll try the chicken on its own. Cut through it like with ease, with a fork. Our chicken came out super dang good. It has a ton of flavor going on for it. We get some from the onion and the garlic and a nice faint hint of the fresh basil as well. It's a little spicy from our red pepper flakes. We get a ton of flavor from our Italian seasoning, which makes the chicken super tasty. Texture-wise, it's nice and juicy and tender and just kind of falls apart in your mouth. It also has a good balsamic flavor to it as well. It's not overpowering by any means. And we get a little bit of richness and fat from the olive oil as well. So let's try it with our little salad on the top. Get like a good bit of everything. The caprese topping is super dang delicious, and it brings a ton of freshness and flavor to our chicken, and all the things that's in the caprese plays really well with the balsamic that we marinated or cooked our chicken in, and it plays so well with the Italian spices as well. The acid in the tomatoes helps cut through the richness of the chicken and the mozzarella balls itself. And of course, the mozzarella is super delicious because cheese is always really tasty. The basil brings that pop of freshness. And to really balance everything out and bring a ton of brightness to the dish is that lemon zest that makes it so well-rounded and just takes it to the next level of deliciousness. Overall, it's super tasty, and that little softness from our mozzarella is nice and good, but that skin on the tomatoes brings a little bit of a crunch factor to the table, which helps really balance things out since our chicken is so soft. But overall, this thing is so good. This recipe is super simple to make, and it would be the perfect summertime dish for lunch or dinner because the ingredients are nice and fresh, and it just goes so well with nice weather. Maybe you're not a spicy person, so you get rid of the red pepper flakes, or you enjoy a ton of spiciness, so you add a bunch more, which sounds super tasty. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. I have a ton more things to do, so I'm going to go do those. I don't know what you're going to do, but yeah, I'm going to go, and we'll see you on the next one. We get a ton all the time with the tons. I mean, it's super. There's so much nonsense. A hot summer day, or just a summer day in general. It doesn't have to be hot. That super soaked, super soaker.